In this video, we will go through the classification of matter. So we will use our flowchart organizer here just to talk about the different categories of matter and how they relate to each other. So we'll start with our main idea here, and this idea of matter, and then the different ways in which we can classify matter. So matter can be classified either as a mixture or a pure substance. For matter that is classified as a mixture, mixtures are variable in composition. It can be separated by physical means, and the melting point is a range of temperatures. So mixtures are made up of more than one type of matter or more than one type of particle, and that's what we mean by variable composition. That they can be separated by physical means we can actually separate them through in some way, either by filtering or separating them by hand. Or, for example, if you have salt water, you can boil the salt water, separating the water from the salt. And because you have a combination of things mixed together, their melting points or even their boiling points is not going to be at one specific temperature. It'll occur over a range. So, for example, pure water will freeze at 4 degrees Celsius, whereas if you have like tap water, that will freeze over a range of 4 degrees to 0 degrees. Pure substances have a constant composition, meaning they're only made of one thing. They cannot be separated by physical means. You have to use a different way because it's just one type of particle in there. So if you want to break those particles down into their individual parts, you'll have to use different means of doing that. And their melting point is going to be at a specific temperature. Their melting point or boiling point is going to be at a specific temperature. So, for example, like I said, pure water will freeze at 4 degrees Celsius. Now, mixtures can be further divided. So mixtures can be classified as a homogeneous mixture or a heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture, or homogeneous mixture, sorry, can also be referred to as a solution. And this is where you have two or more substances, but it appears to be one, or it looks like one. And examples of this would include things like salt water, where you have salt in the water, but you can't see the different parts. A baked cake, for example, where there's a whole bunch of different particles in there, but you can't make out those individual particles unless you put in chocolate chips or something. A heterogeneous mixture is also referred to as a mechanical mixture, and this is where you have two or more substances again, but you can see the different parts. So, for example, a chocolate chip cookie would be considered a heterogeneous mixture because you can see the chocolate chips from the cookie parts. Now, pure substances as well can be further subdivided into elements and compounds. So pure substances that are elements are basically the simplest form of matter. You can't break it down any further. And they are generally found, well, they will be found on the periodic table. So, for example, oxygen is considered an element, carbon is an element, nitrogen is an element as well, iron is an element also. With compounds, these are made up of two or more elements. So you have just your one particle type, but in that particle, it is made up of two or more elements. And usually they will have some type of chemical name, such as sodium chloride. So sodium chloride has two types of elements in it, sodium, and chlorine. So that is the end of this video for the classification of matter.